Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're basically turning into virtual lab detectives to uncover the hidden building blocks of our food, proteins. If you've ever looked down at your plate and wondered what's actually in there on a chemical level, well, you are definitely in the right place. We are going to crack the code on how scientists figure out exactly what fuels our bodies.
We're taking a classic textbook procedure, Activity 3.7 from our source material, and bringing it right here to our virtual lab bench. We've got our test tubes, our food samples, our dropper bottles, pretty much the whole shebang. It is time to throw on our invisible lab coats and get to work.
Here's our game plan for today. The protein question, crucial lab safety, the testing procedure, decoding the results, and finally analyzing real foods.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the protein question, proving what's on our plate.
Moving right along to Section 2, crucial lab safety, the first step of science.
So before we mix a single thing, we absolutely have to talk safety. We're going to be working with potentially harmful chemicals here, specifically copper sulfate and caustic soda. Handling them carefully is just non-negotiable. Don't touch them unless you're told to, definitely never put them in your mouth, and please, do not try to smell them. If you do accidentally spill something, your first move has to be washing it immediately with plenty of water. Science is super fascinating, but we strictly follow these rules so we can learn safely.
Okay, Section 3, the testing procedure, step by step.
Now for the fun part. We know proteins are these essential bodybuilding foods, vital for growth and repair, right? But since we literally can't see them with the naked eye, we have to prep our food suspects. First up, we grab a pestle and mortar and crush the food into a fine paste or a powder. Then we just pop about half a teaspoon of that sample into a clean test tube, add 2 to 3 teaspoons of water, and give it a really vigorous shake. We need a proper, well-mixed solution so our chemical reagents can actually interact with the food particles.
Next is the chemical reaction phase. We're going to carefully add exactly 2 drops of our copper sulfate solution. Just 2 drops. Then, taking another dropper, we add 10 drops of caustic soda solution into that same test tube. Give it another solid shake to mix those potent reagents all up, and then, well, you kind of have to do the hardest part of science. Leave it completely undisturbed for a few minutes and just let the science happen.
And that brings us to Section 4, decoding the results, the visual payoff.
So, while we wait, let's actually pause and predict for a second. What specific, sudden visual change are we actually looking for here? We started with this kind of muddy, unappealing mix of crushed food and water. When our chemicals hit the protein molecules in the test tube, what happens to the color of the liquid?
Well, the magic reveal is a brilliant violet color. That distinct violet hue is our definitive visual proof that protein is in there. If it stays murky or just looks a bit blue from the copper sulfate, nope, no protein. But if it turns that striking violet, boom, positive confirmation. It is honestly so cool seeing invisible nutritional data suddenly become wonderfully visible.
Let's bring it all together in Section 5, Analyzing Real Foods, the Data Synthesis.
Now, we actually get to use this testing superpower on everyday foods. If we log our data into our chart here, take a potato. It yields no violet color, so no significant protein. Boiled rice? Also no violet. But peanuts? They turn the solution a distinct, brilliant violet, meaning a resounding yes for protein. This is literally how scientists begin mapping out the nutrients in a human diet.
Now think back to some of the other tests we've talked about from the source material. Let's connect some dots. Remember the test for fats, where you press food on paper to see if it leaves a translucent, oily patch? So which of our food items do you think tested positive for both proteins and fats?
If you guessed peanuts, you hit the nail on the head. Crush a peanut on paper, you get that oily patch, confirming fats. And, as we literally just saw with our chemical drop test, it turns our solution violet, confirming proteins.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that the foods in our daily diet are super complex. Nature doesn't usually package things as 100% one single nutrient. I mean, one handful of peanuts is delivering energy-rich fats and bodybuilding proteins all at once. Grasping this reality is absolutely crucial for building what the source material calls a truly balanced diet.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Now that you know exactly how scientists uncover these hidden nutrients using some simple but super powerful chemical reactions, how are you going to look at your next meal differently? Are you getting the proteins your body needs to build and repair? You've got the foundational knowledge to understand your fuel now. Keep questioning, keep experimenting, and thanks for joining me on this explainer.